was just testing audio real quick. I think we're ready to get this started. I'm just gonna, hold on, check to make sure this is working. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab a copy of my level here so we can look through it. And I figure we should just start with where I started with this level, I guess, because this whole level was, I think I mentioned it in the description, it's all made in about 1 week. I believe I started just like a week before Pi Day, and then I was like, you know what, I just need to get this done. So the first thing I did was, I'm gonna start here, was these numbers, and I'm gonna actually go to, hold on, where is it? Okay, so this is the very first copy I have. I have like a bunch of copies just because I'm a paranoid person, and I save them just in case level corruption happens. So if I go in here, this is the very first copy, and up here I was just actually tracing the numbers. So the way these numbers were made was, let me move over, so okay, so these were all actually just traced by me. Where are they? So I believe I had, okay, yeah, well, yeah, these are just like actual just paper drawings of the numbers I made. And I have another one here, yeah, just more of these number designs. This one up here was the first one I had. I think it's, yeah, this one. I ended up scrapping it because this new one is like way better. So that's that. And what else? Yeah, I just have a bunch of, whoa, okay. Okay, there you go. I just have a bunch of the numbers here, which I just imported into Geometry Dash and traced them. There's one of the geode mods, this image tool right here, which was very helpful because I could just, where is it? Select whatever object I want, and just have the thing I need to trace. So these numbers were all just traced like that. Some of them have a little like inconsistent thickness just because of the way that turned out. Some of them were different sizes, so when I rescaled them, they ended up being like that. And then this color palette right here. So initially what I, like when I was making this part, I knew I wanted this part of the song. Well, let me get the part of the song first of all. I knew I wanted this part of the song. I knew I wanted that to kind of rotate or something with the letters, or with the, not letters, numbers. I knew I wanted something to be going on. Initially, I was almost gonna do like just like this, like black on white, on like a white background. And then I was like, I've done like gradient mapping with like Photoshop in the past, so I was like, you know, I can just do that and see what it gets me. So I was experimenting with like color combinations, and I came across this one. The idea was I was trying to go for something like kind of mathy, or like kind of something that gave something like a corporate kind of vibe, and this is the one I landed on. And so I was just testing it on this background, but when I was like playing it back to the song, it just didn't really fit to me. And plus it just, I was looking for other color palettes, so I ended up looking at this color palette right here with the green and the pink, and this is what just ended up sticking for the rest of the level, which I think turned out pretty nice. And so I was trying to also figure out ways to maybe incorporate this color palette in with this new one that I had adapted, and from there I started experimenting just with gradients and this area tint trigger, and I'm gonna go over what I did there because I'm really proud of how this effect turned out. Where's do I have a start position here? Yeah, okay. So I don't know if you can see, but it's going from this color palette right here with green and pink, and then as the gradient goes out, oh well, it's there, but the triggers are moving before I can pause, and they're going faster. So let me just turn this down. But as you can, if you can see it, as the gradient goes out, the color is just trying to change too, and it goes back down, and it goes back to the original colors. And I was really, really proud of how I managed to make this work. So the way it works is it's just each individual color here, area tinting to the new color palette. I think I have like papers on my desk, just telling me which colors lined up to what others. I think it was 10 to 20, 11 to 21, etc., etc. And from there, I just use these area tints. And the way this thing works is they're on a length of 0. And then I have an edit area tint here that changes the length to something bigger over time. So it like the area tint effect spreads out and it follows with the gradient. So that was this first version of just me experimenting. No gameplay yet. This is just just me in here making the numbers. These numbers took the longest part. This was like by far the longest thing I think in the level, because tracing all these numbers took me around like I think 2 days. That whole process took me around 2 days. It was really tedious. I got to become a lot more familiar with just the warp system too. Some of these objects I used like for the I used them from this tab. I think once I got I don't remember. I think once I got to the 4 or something somewhere on, I just stopped using them because I realized I can just use these curves and make it work for anything I want. Like the warping system in this update is like ridiculously overpowered. So I think that's all I had to go over with just these numbers. I'm missing a 7, an 8, and a 0 because I was looking at the first, I think, how many was it? I don't remember how many beats. I think it was however many beats are in here. Because I just knew I was like putting a number for every time there was that like note, like it's speed hacked, but every time there's that note, I was gonna do a number, so I just counted whichever ones I needed. And there's no 0, no 8 or 7. An error I did find actually when releasing this level is that this last number is supposed to be an 8. It's just that the number I got on the internet was rounded, so this is supposed to be an 8. That's my bad. I just blamed it on rounding. So if you're wondering about that, yeah, I'm just putting that down to rounding. Anyways, this as the first version used the gradients, which just ended up being squares. But as I got to the second version of this level, I think this is where I changed it. Yeah, you can. There's already more structure in this. I changed it to, I think. Oh, I didn't. Okay, well I guess it's not here. One of these copies it ends up changing. Oh yeah, here already have the spiral. I ended up changing it to the. I didn't do it here either. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just go over what happened here first, which is I put it all into the actual circle. Again, initially it was just gonna be like the player kind of just jumps on each platform, on each note, and maybe they would like come down or something. But then I was just thinking like, what if I just turn it into a circle? Like the level's gonna be Pi themed, maybe I can just kind of stick with the whole Pi circle theme throughout, even with the gameplay. So I was like, I'm just gonna make this part a circle and see how it goes. And I knew I wanted to incorporate an orb somewhere because it was 3.14. That was the point. I was like 3 point. So the orb comes down here, I believe. Yeah, 3.14. And then whatever. And it just cycles around, and there's still the effect and all. Yeah, I just started moving. Oh yeah, this is the so I initially was thinking maybe I just don't trace, the numbers I have, so I just tried freehanding it, and this was the first 3 that I did. I gave up midway because it was just so bad. Like, look at that. That compared to this. Are you kidding me? Absolutely not. So, what else is here? There's a lot of option trigger work happening because with the way this was rotating, I initially wanted it to actually like be like the player jumps on each platform, but I saw like just when this was done, I was like, there's no way I'm like implementing this into actual like clicks. Like, it's not readable at all. So at that point, I made the decision, you know what, I'm just gonna make this like a really easy level, and this can be a completely auto part, and then from there it's just gonna, that dictated the difficulty going forward. There's a zoom trigger here. I don't know if that stays, but I think that's everything so far here. Yeah, there's some song trigger work here as well. What is in the next version? I'm thinking in the next version is the change I'm meaning to talk about. Oh, this is a lot more in this copy. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to keep it at... Oh, well, we have start position here. Hold on, let me delete that. Where are we? Okay, we're there. Okay, well, whatever. Anyways, what I was going to say is these... I ended up changing the gradients from squares into these. This was a suggestion from BPI in Team Zero. I'm really glad because these look a lot better. And the squares weren't doing it really. These kind of match the theme more too, and they look prettier. So I just replaced the groups I had for the gradients with groups for scaling, and yeah, then I just had scales matching up with the area tints, the edit area tints. Where else? Yeah, okay. And then that, I think, is the most, that's everything on this, just this spiral trigger part, the spiral number part. So that was the first thing I finished for the whole level. And then from there, I was like a week left till Pi Day, and I was like, you know what? I really just don't want this like really cool part to just go away and be lost, because it was really nice. I was like, this is really damn cool. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can just build a level around that, and so this doesn't go to waste forever. So the next part I built was just this first part here, this first shape part leading in. I didn't want it to be too complex. And I knew it was going to be symmetrical, so I could get away with being really lazy. This only took me like an hour to make. So the kind of idea I was going for here was going for something kind of designy. It's not that detailed, obviously, but for what it's worth, like something more detailed than the rest of the level, and then it being kind of stripped back to like, oh well, you can't see here, but hold on. But yeah, as the player goes by, it just becomes stripped down to like the bare colors. There's some glow here too that I just thought would look nice, so I just added it there. But it fades out too. Well, I was initially going to add a pie background, like do I have a custom object with this? I don't think I do. But like a background with just like the pie symbol. But I was like, that's going to make it too busy. So I didn't do it. Plus, it was just going to match the rest of the level in terms of like detail density more if I didn't. Oh, these gear things are on, I don't remember, I guess, but they're on a layer that, how do I say, they're being affected by this shader right here, the shock line shader, and they just kind of wiggle throughout the part. This is where I learned that restricting your shader to a certain layer just kind of breaks opacity effects you have going on. Because let's say I try to make this blending, it's not going to be blending, it's going to be on like it's not going to be additive, it's just going to be normal. And if I try to have this on like, what's an example I can use? Well, I'll just use blending again, right? It's like there's blending right there, and you try to stack them on each other. I don't even know what to tell you is going on here. They're like kind of stacking on each other, but not really. There's probably effect potential, but that's not for me right now. What else is here? Oh yeah, I ended up stripping the ground away. Where's the option trigger? Yeah, here, hide ground. Because I was thinking of using this ground right here. If I turn on the ground, you'll see I never actually change the color just because I never use it. I was thinking of using the ground, but then I was like, it just look cleaner if I made it blend right into this, so I just removed it. The random shader bugs are the worst. Yeah, there are. Like, if you have the shader affecting the whole screen, then it's perfectly fine. Blending works, opacity works. But as soon as you restrict it to a certain layer, I guess, I don't know, it just stops working. Oh, there's this thing at the beginning here. I just want a death counter. I don't know how, it's not perfect, because this thing right here with, if you put it on attempts, this thing does not work. Like, I really was struggling figuring out why it doesn't work, and I was trying to look through servers, and people were just telling me it doesn't work. So I don't know. So what I just did instead was I had a on death thing. I made it a persistent item, which is just like this, whatever value it is stays throughout a full attempt, like until you like completely exit out of the level. And then every death it would activate and it would add 1. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean this is an attempt counter. It just means it's a death counter. Like, if I restart manually, it's not going to increase by 1, but if I die, it's going to increase by 1, which, you know, close enough. A leader outline if that happens. If you're restricted to go all the way B5. Yeah, it's really weird. Like, this, if you look here, like, there's, like, kind of the outline here. Like, the outline there. I just try to make it work. But yeah. Alright, I think that's everything for this first part here. Yeah, I also made like a just kind of like a bulge trigger for the icon to come in, because I didn't know what to what effect, like that like rising symbol, I didn't know what to do, so I just was like, you know what, let's play around with the shaders. Okay, and from there, yeah, we talked about the this rotating part. The only other thing is that there's like these circles that fly out from the orb. Those aren't too crazy. I just have them on this movement I've used for a while. And that's this whole part, I believe. And then from there we go into this part here. What else is there? Yeah, I think that's everything here. So you move into this part right here, and I guess the last thing I would talk about is that I have, if I can get a start position down. Okay, start position won't work. There's a lot of start position bugs in this update. Okay, let me just play it out then and see if there's anything else I missed. Yeah, those are the circles. Oh, they also scale down, but that's not much. Oh, one thing I did miss, I guess, is that this 2 right here, which I was really happy with because I kind of manipulated it so the top of the 2 looked like a jump pad. I just added some particles to make it look like the whatever effects on the actual jump pad, because I couldn't have the actual effects be there, it'd be too noisy. Okay. Yeah, so I just, with these ones I added the, what's it called? These this like full opacity and low opacity circle, just so it like blended into this more when they went out. I initially had these on a similar shader effect as these wiggle things, these things that wiggle, but it just didn't work because of the whole opacity stuff breaking, which, whatever, I just made it the way it is now. So anyways, your player goes down here, and you turn into a robot. So this whole part here didn't take me too long. The main part was just making these base structures. I initially had more things in mind for the background, or at least I was wanting to have more stuff for the background initially. But then I ended up just making this laser the central part, and it kind of hits at this note. Yeah. And that ended up being the whole thing, other than these other lasers. Anyways, these blocks though, The details I just added kind of where I saw fit. For the colors I used, I don't think I changed these colors much, like manipulated them much. I just kind of changed the way I was using them. So this color, all the colors present here are the same colors that are used in these numbers, which is the original color palette I came up with, which I just felt like would make it easier to keep consistency throughout. I traced this pi from, well, I just found a pi vector on the internet. And then I was testing it out with it, and I just put one here because I felt like it. And I was like, you know what, it's kind of cool if I just have this as like, I don't know, like a monument of pi here. And I know I wanted them to like flash throughout these like little holes. So where is it? So if you can kind of see that they're kind of like moving down infinitely. And okay, this is really bad because I just immediately I noticed a visual bug in my own level. That's that's a great way to start a commentary stream. But the way it works is I just have two collision triggers here. This one is moving with all the pies, and this one's not moving. And when it collides, when this one, let me see if I can. Okay, so when this one collides with the second one, I have them set to move back up. Where is it? Yeah. So when one hits two, it activates this one, which just moves them back up, so that they can just move down. It can look like they're moving down infinitely. I think that was the main thing about this. Oh yeah, this thing too. So this whole like strip here of all the curves, warp came really handy for this level just in whole, as a whole. I use it a lot just obviously for all the curves. This part originally was kind of just gonna be, well, I knew it was gonna be more of a filler part because it was just kind of like a segue into this next more energetic part. Which is ironic because I ended up really liking how it turned out. But instead I opted for just kind of making the structures all kind of more blobby and curvy to fit with the whole level being based on all the curves and stuff. This first part really is the only one that kind of doesn't do that. It kind of has all the right angles here and the sharp corners, which I think is fine because it's the introduction, but yeah. Anyways, for this thing here, I knew I wanted something to also represent this note here. And I also knew I wanted like all these like all these notes here to be represented by something. So I just kind of thought, you know what, I'm gonna have these blue pads here. But then I was like, you know what if I just connect them as well? Because I think it's really cool when you have this kind of blend between gameplay and design. Like this, like right here, they kind of flash through. If I can put a start position here, robot mini. Right, they're just pure decoration right now, but then they turn right into gameplay, which I always really like. It makes, I don't know, to me it makes it feel like your whole level is more of an environment, more than it is just straight gameplay. The design of these things isn't much. I was just kind of playing around with these new 2.2 blocks. This one mainly ended up being the design. It was originally, I think it was even originally more detailed, but I ended up stripping it back because you can barely even see these anyways. Like some of them have like where is it? Some of them have these like little connectors and dots in here. You can't see them at all, but yeah. And then I just have them flashing colors back and forth. Yeah. What are these things? Oh, these are just the laser beams. The laser beams I did not put much thought into. I just did whatever I thought would look fine. I think even, oh yeah, so there was originally these like big curves here too. I wanted to like, with like those symbols here, I was thinking what if I just had this big structure like move back and forth, like all the way to the left, so they're kind of like they kind of turn into the sine wave effect. I'm so quiet. Oops. Oopsies. Let me turn up gain. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me see if this helps. Okay, that was really loud. Hold on. I think this should be fine right here. Loudens are on. Exactly. If there's still issues, then let me know. But I think this is... I think this gain should be fine enough. Anyways, what I was saying is I was going to have these kind of turn into like a sine wave effect. So they kind of look like... I have a start position right here, so you can see it. Like that. And I ended up removing that way later down because it just looked really ugly to me. And I was thinking like when I removed it, it just made the part, I don't know, feel a little like these were the focal things. All these and the blue pads. And this was just kind of being distracting, so I removed it later down the line. But in this copy, I just kept it for a little. I think that is everything about this part. Yeah, I have this glow on the same kind of disappearing effect as the beginning. That's about it. Okay, so next is the shit part here. I just hop on to say that you love awesome. Thank you. All right. That comment's a little ironical now because I'm about to move into this part, which is by far my least favorite. Yeah, I was like really lazy with a lot of this part. This block design I didn't take much time to make. I mean, I knew the level was kind of going for a little something simpler at this point. But I was like really lazy and I just copy pasted it everywhere with the same design, just adapted all the colors. The only thing that took me a little time were these numbers here, which actually flashed through like all the digits of pi. Like this took me a while for me to get right. And it's not even noticeable. So it's like whatever. These are like I had square blocks, but I wanted like some form of circle gameplay in here. So I decided, you know what, these are going to be my hitboxes, and I just use slopes. When the level was near done, I had been experiencing some issues with the slopes because if you like hold a certain way, you end up just like hitting this corner. And it's like this corner right here, and you just die. Even though I really tried to fix it. I had them on passable and everything. It just didn't work. You still died here sometimes. I tried experimenting with using like forest blocks and just regular passable blocks, but all of them were playing really jankily. So I scrapped them all and I just kept this version. So this shit part even by itself is just a little buggy too. Anyways, yeah, this whole part didn't take me that long to make. It was, again, real lazy, to be honest. And I think it is just kind of the least interesting part of the whole level. I have this like make it to the top thing because at some point in the middle of this, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna commit to this being like a free mode shit gimmick part. Well, I knew that I was gonna do that initially, but I was like, you know, I'm just gonna really lean into it. So I was like, make it to the top. And yeah, I have these little connector things as well. I had them on the same like wiggle effect as the beginning. You like that part a lot. I'm glad to hear that, but to me, I don't like this part at all. It was really lazy. I had these pulsing kind of randomly. I believe, yeah. Like I think I just had them on a spawn loop. I think this is it. And I just had them on different delays. Yeah, this one's on 0.9, 0.7, 0.4. Just random delays. And then at the bottom here, obviously I need some way for the player to go up, force them up, so I just kind of copy pasted the things from the beginning. I think the glow kind of broke. The lamp kind of broke here. This is supposed to be on top, but I layered it kind of too high up and I didn't want to fix it, so I just kept it. You can't really tell. And they fade out when the player comes to them anyways, because they're on the same group tunnel. So it didn't really matter. The only other things was these big water floating things, which are on the which do the same kind of like area tint effect as these as the circle spiral thing from beginning. And they changed the colors once again. Yeah. And this one's just kind of bigger because the note I had it on was a little longer. I think the last thing I really think I can comment on in this part is these arrows, which were the last thing I added to this part. What else? Yeah, this is the last thing I added to the part. I had them kind of like moving slightly in the background. Oops. There, moving slightly in the background. That was the last thing I added because it was just it was just so empty in the background. I was like, there's got to be something there. And yeah, I think that is all about this part. Yeah, this part just, I don't know, to me it's the most boring. I guess the thing I like most about it is this last ending transition. Oh, Secret Bob, you're right, actually. I'm missing it because it's not in this copy. It's in, I might as well go to my delete mode, the most recent copy. Is there anything else added? I don't think so. But yeah, I added a Bob just at the end. This is something that me and friends put in levels. I made it for Alphen initially, for his level world generator, and it's I decided why not have it make a cameo in this level too. So you know what? That's my second favorite thing about this part. This SpongeBob. My favorite thing is just this ending transition, which I was playing around more with the edit area triggers. Because I just with this initial part, I had like experimented with the edit area tint and made that cool effect. But I was thinking about what I could do with other triggers, and I was thinking in my head, there's something I can definitely do with edit area move if I like increase length. So what I did was I had all these. I think they're all linked. If I enable link controls, yeah, they're all linked together, and I figured out how to make the link controls work on the edit area triggers. You have to use the edit area parent. One of the objects in the link trigger has to have that on, and then they'll just anchor to that point. So where's the edit area move I have? Okay, so it looks like it's this object here, length 200. Yeah, wait, no, length 200, move distributions. Okay, this looks like it. So this, yeah, okay, so it moves them by 0 technically. So nothing happens, but as you pass like the transition here, I increase the distance to a really high number, and that just means that they start moving away really fast. All relative to the player. So you get the wait, let me get a start position out. Here it is. Oh, alright, see you often. Yeah, this is gonna stay on the channel, don't worry. Okay. So yeah, there's the effect I was talking about, just with the colors changing and all. And here at the end, yeah, they all just move away relative to the player. One last thing I just saw, I might as well mention, is that this maker the top text, I just had it on some area triggers, so it like had a cool effect coming out. And I think that is everything in just this last part. Hello, Mix, by the way. Okay, next part. Oh, this part was really fun to make. I have a lot to say about this part. I'm gonna go to an older copy actually, because there's a lot I have to say about this transition, and a lot of weird 2.2 stuff I encountered. Oops. I think it's probably a 6th version or something. Oh, that's way later. Let's see if it's in this copy. It looks like it. Yeah, okay, so I stopped there. So initially what I did was I made just a piii. So the initial idea for this part is I knew it was going to be some form of interlude, and I really had this idea of initially it was going to be, where is it? Like there, I was going to have some kind of like pie slice transition. I don't really know how to visualize it. Like if I go here, because I was looking at just images of pies for this. Hold on, they're all deleting. Okay. Okay, so where is it? I think this is the main one I was looking at. At least this is the main one I was looking at for the one I used. But I knew at the end somewhere I was like, you know what? I feel like I can make a pie slice and then have the player ramp on a slope or something. And that just became. It just eventually turned into this. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna turn it straight into the gameplay and the focal point for this part, and that worked the best. This was really fun to make. So if I'm not streaming GM Trash, but eventually that just turned into this part being the focal point. This thing wasn't initially here, so let me take it out. So yeah, I just like traced that like that outline and then kind of colored it to the same colors as the level. Some people told me it looked like a pizza. Some people told me it looked like a saw blade. I agree with everything. Maybe not the pizza as much, but in context, especially with the pie slice actually coming out, it looks like a pie enough. So was fine to me. So I made that, and then I just fiddled around with the camera controls to make it land the way I wanted. What else? Yeah, there's like these bunch of these hitboxes just to kind of approximate what the pie is. And then there's these big slopes here which eventually match up with the where is it? These where the pie like slice actually comes out. I don't think there's much I need to explain with that effect. It's just this pie slice comes out and these toggle on so the outlines come in. And this rotates around just to be the gameplay, because I didn't want to just be completely auto sections, so I was like, I was thinking of ways to actually incorporate gameplay, because I didn't want some form of weird I don't know, some like weird circle gameplay here, like structures on the outside. It just didn't work in my head. So I was like, I'm just gonna have a portal follow around, and then the player can jump into that, and that worked best. And then, do I have a start position here? Yes, I do. No, I don't. And I had the player teleport really high, just because otherwise the camera controls are really weird. Okay. Yeah. And last thing I should know about the pie is that I had an area tin trigger happening. So again, I was with this level, I was really into just experimenting with what I could do with a lot of the new 2.2 stuff, especially the area triggers. I love these things. These are so practical and can be used just for so many things now. So I had all the colored things like these, and these on a group, and I had, if I can find the area tin trigger, Is it this one? I think it's this one. I had them tint to white, and I had them, I believe it's just this point right here. Like if I turn this on, yeah, there. So I had them like tint around that point white. Yeah, you can see it there tinting around. To just give it that kind of highlight effect. And that kind of made the part look a little more done to me. I wanted a little more in the background, to be honest, because it was, this part's literally, that's it. It's just that pie and nothing else. I never got around to it, and I just accepted this looks fine as is, and I just kept it. Anyways, the pie slice comes out, and then you move into, where is it? Yeah. I didn't know what else to do. I just made this thing, and I was like, I rolled with having it there. There's not much talk about this. I was just warping stuff and making it work together. And that just became the platform. And then anyways, you drop down here, and then you move into this next interlude. What mod do I have for the editor menus? Which editor menus are you talking about? Because maybe at the end I can just show you all the geode mods I used. Because there's plenty that helped me a lot. This circle tool, where is it? This circle tool helped me a little bit. I ended up warping a lot of the stuff myself, but that helped me just a little. But if you're thinking of like just general editor menus, probably like Better Edit or something. Better Edit is has been really helpful. I'm really glad it came out while I was building this because it made a lot of things easier. So anyways, yeah, this comes out and you fall down back onto this platform here, and I believe we next copy here. Oh yeah, okay. So there's a few things I want to try for this part. Again, to me, this part was more of an interlude than anything. Into this next part here, because I had a really strong idea for what I was going to do. If you remember, then the actual level, that ends up being that whole spiral part. So this part was just kind of an interlude. I didn't know what to do with it. And I was just kind of putting down stuff. I experimented with this kind of pie background, which kind of stuck. I had it on the same collision loop as the other little pie symbols at the beginning. So it just kind of loops in the background. I don't have to have like a bajillion. Even so, this has an unholy amount of objects. Yeah. I did end up optimizing it for the actual level because I had some playtesters, and Sawi was playtesting. He was screen sharing, and the frames were just like absolutely abysmal. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna optimize it. It's still like I think over around 2,000, 3,000 objects in the final level, and I saw some comments talking about lag. But I should have added low detail mode in hindsight. I don't know why I didn't do that, but yeah, I did my best. 7.5k object. Yeah, it was bad because these are coming from where is it? They're coming straight from this thing. I just straight copied the little pie slides I had here, and I was not very I did not do very good just optimization. Oh, is this the optimized version? Oh, this is not the optimized version. But I didn't do very well optimizing these like curves here. Like just the outline alone is so many objects. So if you have one that's like 78 objects and then multiply that by like however many there are here, it's just a disastrous. So anyways, the gameplay here, I just figured it was just gonna be like simple cube jump gameplay. Is the start position? No, it doesn't work. Let me make it work. Yeah. So I knew I wanted these like circle things to like kind of follow with the like the do in the background of the song. In the background of the song there, I knew that I wanted to like flicker on. So I was just like playing around with the area, fade and area tint triggers until I got to work. Yeah. And then from there I didn't know what to do gameplay. And I think I just ended up experimenting until I think the next copy has the final version of this. Yeah. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna play on warps again. And these are completely free-handed. I didn't know what the gameplay was going to look like at all. I just completely free-handed these curves. They looked really cool. So I mean, they turned out great to me. And then I moved these things up because they were down here, but they were like making it real messy. So, oh, this is not working again. Yeah. So that was just me doing this. I think in the next version these end up being the final version, and I'll talk about that. There's also flickering. I don't know if it's visible on stream, but my icon's flickering right now. The reason for that is because I was trying to figure out a way to remove the particles on the player, and the way I was doing it in a second, like in this copy, it was a little buggy, and the icon was just flickering a bunch. In the final copy, I have it fixed, but in these earlier copies, I had a weird setup for it, so it just didn't work. So yeah, this copy is just squiggles. Another thing I want to note about these curves is that I've found that just saving and just editing level file anyway, like saving the level, coming back in the level, duplicating, making copy of the level. These curves just slowly over time end up just breaking. They'll end up being like a pixel off, or like this, the warping will be slightly different, and it got really annoying, especially when I was making like I make a bunch of backup copies, in just in case, and just I was coming back to this part, and I just kept noticing these curves kept like slightly breaking. At one point, I got so fed up with it. I think I have it as a custom object. I just saved it as a custom object. Because I was like, if this keeps breaking again, I'll just replace it right away. Where's the next copy here? Yeah, even in this copy, you can see right now, like some of them just started slightly breaking. Not much, but over time it gets worse. Yeah, like see here, like they're slightly offset. It was real annoying. Like in these first copies, I didn't notice it obviously, but then a couple copies later down the line, I'm playing this part. I'm like, why are my curves like not the way I made them? And then there's things up here. I changed them to initially be a straight line, and once again, I was playing with the edit area move trigger. Where is it? Yeah, there's a bunch of these area moves, and I have I think I have them all in one effect ID, or I guess all in one group, 274. Yeah, that's 274. So that over time, this like straight line, it slowly starts like curving or turning into a curve. If you like watch it, you'll kind of see as like they start like being less of a line. And I thought that kind of fit the song the best. And I had these little arrows, just because I was, again, I free-handed these curves just entirely, so I didn't know how the gameplay would look at all. So I just kind of made blocks based on the structures, or the curves, and then just kind of adapted it to the gameplay it is now. I think that is the most about this part. There's a gradient in the back of this, just making these a lot less visible. I think it slowly fades down over time. Yeah, so you can see the pies a little more. But that was just for setting up some contrast. Alright, now it's time for the really fun part. This big spiral part. I think the best way I can talk about it is if I just go to the final version. Yeah. So there's a lot of things happening in this spiral part. So I'm gonna try to be, I'm gonna try to get over as much as I can. So first is just this actual spiral part. I think I have them on one layer anywhere, or I guess I don't. But this whole spiral here, I made largely with this circle tool. Because I couldn't make it manually. It's not that hard. It's just that this made it a lot easier. The way I make spirals, it's not bad. It's you just slowly increase the radius, and this thing also let me make it as optimized as I could. Um, but yeah, I just took down some of the handwork from there. Next thing is this like slight effect. It's not that visible in game, but I had all these little lines here change color. Like so, this big spiral is rotating in of itself, but there's also these colors, these pulses that are rotating around all these little pulse things. I couldn't be bothered to put it on a spawn loop. I should have maybe, but I just couldn't be bothered. So there's that effect happening as well. Let me get a start position out here as well. If one will work, I don't know. These start positions are always so weird. Oh, wrong one. Yeah. Okay, this one works. Okay. So yeah, those colors are like fading out as well. There's also this particle in the background here. There's it animate on here. Okay, well, there's the particle in the background that kind of like radiates particles out like that. I don't know if you saw it. This is like the first thing I made. I knew I wanted that kind of effect just to be for the background, and that would be the main thing I have. But yeah, there's not much to say about that. I just had this on. All right. Oh yeah. All the like this like transition in like that was also done using edit area moves. Is it here? Move distribution. That doesn't look like it. Move distribution 200. I don't know where it is, but there's an edit area move somewhere where it's like, I think it's here. Initially, they're like scattered everywhere. They're invisible too, but eventually I just have it. Yeah, here. I have the move distribution set to 0, which just sets them all back to the original positions. So this is completely random, I guess. However the pattern ends up being. But again, like these edit area triggers are just have so much practical use. And it was really cool just making it work for that. Next biggest thing in this part are these things right here. I think I'm gonna go to an earlier copy for this because they're a little more in the rough stages and I can see them better. Let's see this copy. Yeah, all the edit area, like all the area triggers are just so good. Yeah. I guess these are one of the first things I made for this whole thing. So yeah, here's the more bare bones part, and this is I initially had this background a lot bigger. I constrained to this little circle eventually. Anyways, the whole idea of this, like I said earlier, I had a really strong vision for what I wanted this part to look like. So with this level being like pie themed, I was trying to look for like ways to kind of represent that. And I had seen these like pie, like visualization of pie videos in the past. And let me see if I can get a screenshot of one. Visualization of pi, like visualization of pi just being irrational or something. And it's like, yeah, it's this one. So we go here. And it's like these things. And it's like this like thing orbiting around, and it like once it almost completes its orbit, it like doesn't quite align. It doesn't like quite connect to the curve. And that's supposed to be like visualizing why it's irrational. I don't get what that means at all. But I was like, you know what? I think I can try doing something like that in a part. Obviously, I was not gonna get that exact because just that pattern, I had no idea how to translate like something like that into gameplay. So just trying to adapt it was me turning it into just kind of a spiral. Initially, also I wanted it to be like kind of like a wave part where you're like kind of traversing in these little curved crevices, But when I turned this into like kind of like a way easier level, I figured, you know what, it's just going to be easier as like a ball part, and this is your boundaries. So in my head, I was like, I need something that will. I'm gonna turn the speed off, and I'll explain what the speed is for in a second. But I was like, I need something that'll like draw like for me, that'll like act as like this. Here, let me. I can just copy this whole thing actually. So if I set this speed to 0, like something that I can like draw with like that, right? Like it'll like spiral across and it'll draw um, what I need to, because I'm not gonna be able to move everything. Like I was like, particles is gonna be the best use of this. Um, and then I can have it like rotate down. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm gonna have these maybe like all over the part, like um, rotating in the circle. Why is it shooting out? I'll explain why it's moving like that, because this is actually a constraint of the particles themselves. So I was gonna have this like all around the circle, and then they just kind of like spiral in, and then kind of like make a similar kind of effect as those like visualization of piping irrational videos, and that would work just as well as I can do it. One constraint that these things have, I'm going to turn the speed to 0, and you're going to see what I mean. Let me set another one to 3. Okay. So when you actually go... Okay, well that one's completely broken. I don't know what's going on there. But you see these... Oh, well, they disappeared. But the particles, they don't follow the spiral. I had to zoom way out because I was like debugging kind of and figuring out what was happening. But the way these particles work is that there's 3 versions. There's where is it? Yeah, free, relative, and grouped. Grouped is like they're all centered on the one particle and they all move together. Relative is they all spawn from the particle and they can have their own motion. And free, I have no clue what free does. Like this, I don't know what that does at all. I never bothered to figure that out. So anyways, I need it to be relative, because if it's grouped, they'll all move like together, and it's not gonna, like, if I move this particle down, I can't have it draw, because they're all gonna be like anchored on each other. But if I have it relative and it's drawing, I can't like move it as well, because if it's also moving relative to the x direction, it's gonna have that like big like arc that you end up seeing here. Like that, right? Like the particle themselves, they don't move, because that's just how they're gonna draw. But because it's also moving relative to the x, they just don't work like that. And I was in call with Sawi when I was doing this, and Sawi was like, why don't you just make this speed match the player speed? And I was like, oh, that's actually really, really smart. And I was like, and I figured out what the exact speed was. It took me some time. So that way, these end up just matching the player speed entirely. That way, it looks like it's locked to the x-axis. That's why these are moving out here. But that was my solution for this. Or Solway's solution. I'm really glad Solway suggested that, because otherwise I would not have known how to do this at all. And if I go to the next copy here, I think I have them all surrounding it now. Yeah, now I have them all here, and it looks a little ridiculous, but it works in game. I initially also had these dots like different sizes. I ended up changing that to just be all consistent sizes because it looked kind of messy. But yeah, that was this initial spiral, at least the effect itself kind of conceived, because I set up all the rotates here. So you can see this is the very first version of the effect. Yeah, they're all kind of around. Some of them are kind of rendering out, so I had to use, here's the editor trick, you had to use, where is it? Link visible, so they all stay visible at the same time. Or they all, yeah, if one of them is rendered, then they're all rendered. Even with that, there's like some particles that just won't load, depending on like, I don't know, your GPU or CPU or whatever. But having the link visible, I think they're at the very beginning. You have to, yeah. Where are they? Link visible, link visible. Yeah, here. One of them is link for those particles. Just so that they don't ever stop rendering. At least when they're visible. But yeah, I think that is the most of this part. Advanced follow. Yeah. If there's anything else, I'll mention it, but I think that was, yeah, everything in this part. I ended up making this thing smaller, the particles. Let me play it one more time. But yeah, that was just how this part went. There's one thing I'm remembering that was really annoying about this part. I don't know if this is just like me and my mods or something, but sometimes when I would like exit and come back in, because the way I had these work, and it's already happened, I can see it. The way I need these to work is that I need them to be animated on trigger. Especially because later on I ended up like playing around with like duration, so that they ended up like dying at the end. You'll see later what I mean by that. So I needed them on animate on trigger. But like sometimes I just go back in and they'd like turn themselves off, and it was really frustrating. I don't know why I did that. Is it this copy that I ended up fixing all that? Animate? No, animate. Oh yeah, these are animates here, but you can already see like, see like I have each day set to be animated, but you can already see they're going. Those particles are going, even though they're not supposed to be, right? They're supposed to be animate on trigger, but I come back in the level and they're not. It's not turned on. I don't know. It was a really weird thing that I encountered. Not as frustrating as the warps breaking, like all the curves like slowly breaking over time. I think, let's see if I can go, if I go back to this copy right here and I can see, yeah, like I had even these first curves. Like look how bad this got. You started seeing like just whole gaps in these curves. Look at this. Are you kidding me? It was so frustrating. It was at this point that I started like actually being like really like, wow, what is going on? But yeah. Oh yeah, here's where I started actually coloring the curve. And I add some pulses to the best of my abilities. The particles are harder to pulse, because the particles they're not all like independent color. Like I could have them all in one color and pulse that color, which is what I did. But this part doesn't have any pulses anyway, so it wasn't that bad. And then yeah, I ended up playing with like the durations of these, so that at the very end of the part, I could like transition out by them just like stop rendering, or like just start killing them. Like you'll see at the end here what I mean by that. Like there, they all kind of come out. That's not me doing anything. That's just because the particles like stop, like their duration stops, so they stop rendering so much. That's all that is. And then this ending part here is, again, like the whole point of this part was just to be like, oh, the visualization of piii being irrational or whatnot. So at the very end of this part, I have the camera like follow that thing, which is what like those little animations did. And then I had it like with that, what is it? Like another curve out here, like that purple one, and they don't match up. They don't meet up. That was yeah, my visualization of the pi being a rational thing. All right, and then we have the last part here, which I believe I made this the day before this level came out. This only took me, yeah, this took me like a day to make. So first thing I did was this thing. I was just playing around with curves, to be honest. This is just me freehanding. Fun to make, so not much to say about it. And then at the end, I was like, you know what? I don't want these numbers to just have gone away, because these took, I'm not kidding when I say these took forever to make, like 2 days on it. Like the longest thing out of this whole level to make. So I was like, you know what? I don't want all that to just go for like, what, a 5-second part. So I was like, you know what? I'll reuse them at the end. And I ended up decorating a little more. I had these like waves on the side that kind of like move out. They look like they move out, but it's actually scaling. Like if I have my here, here, yeah, like that moving out, it's actually scaling. This thing moves out. This is actually moving out, but these are like being where is it? Like those are being scaled. Well, no, that is not it. 100. Did I have 100? Oh, those are being smaller. Hold on. It's this one, yeah. So it's being scaled just like this way is what it is. And then it like scales back out and it looks like it's moving. And then again, I have the same color effect. Yeah. I was able to make it a little slower because the song's a little slower at this part. And I really like the way I did it because I ended up intentionally kind of offsetting the scaling with the tint, because then you kind of like are able to see it actually like, it almost looks like it's being drawn. The new color is being drawn on, which I think is really cool. Yeah. I say fixed choppiness here because once again, like one thing I encountered was like these things started like slowly being offset too, which you know that's just great to be honest. Again, I have this like orb here as like the 3.14. Can't couldn't skip on that. And then here I just kind of I was like, you know what, an inversion effect would kind of work here. Thankfully, with the way I set everything up, I did not need to do much work with like the area tint and stuff. All the colors were already rigged, so all I needed to do was change the fundamental, like the base colors here, and then all the triggers would work the same. But yeah, so colors invert and the color effect still works the same. Is there anything? There's not much else this part because it's really simple. Oh yeah, there's one gameplay thing I guess. You can do this. I've watched people play this. I don't think many people then realize that there's no borders on this part. Like I just made it loop back on itself. Like they all stay in like the middle, which I guess is like normal. Why would you try to go outside the borders that look like they're gonna kill you? Initially, I was trying to do some like teleport, like trickery. Where's the other portal here? It's not here. Okay, I don't know where it is, but eventually I just settled for this kind of format because what was happening before was that I was like having them stacked on each other. So as soon as you go on top, like these just like infinitely repeat on each other and you just never get out. So I just kind of made them not touch. So that when you hit this one, and you don't touch the portal below. There's no chance of like you like getting stuck. So that was that. I just thought it'd be cool to have this be a borderless part, mainly because I didn't want to ground, and I was like, you know what, I need some way to make the player not like just instantly die. So I was like, yeah, this last part's technically then it's not technically, it is auto. It doesn't look like it. These blocks are passable, so you can't die to anything in this last part. But it looks like you can. So, like I read, I will say Ilrel's video. I read his description. It was a really nice description about the gameplay. Looking like it was a lot more complex than it really was, even though it was for what 3-star gameplay. And I do agree with that. Right? It was like, especially with some of the decoration gimmicks here, it makes the gameplay look a lot more tricky than it actually is. Like with this part, I guess the last thing I didn't know was the saws, but there's not much to talk about. That was just me adding gameplay. So, oh yeah, this like thing that comes up in the middle of the screen. I made it with gradients because it makes it a lot easier for you to do. Where is it? Shoot, I don't know where the dots are for this. 6, 5. Hold on. This here, so. Huh. I don't know where they are. Oh, they're here. Okay. So I knew I wanted like gradients so I could have them move out to the entire screen. That was the easiest way to do this. If you wanted, you could have probably done like a lighter background gradient on top and bottom. I could have done that too. I mean, just in line with everything else, being like a blank background, this fit, I guess, most of me. But yeah, there's some parts where I wish I could have added more. But I'm fine with the simplicity level, it worked. So, and then I had this effect here with the circles kind of just like flashing as the last notes come in. There's an old version of this up here in the old level too. Like it was originally going to be like, where is it? Like if I can compile this all together right now, actually. But it was originally going to be something like that. Actually, I don't want to compile it, but yeah, it was originally going to be like that pattern. But it looks super ugly, so I did not use it. And thank God I didn't. I think that's everything in the level. Stuff I wish I could have added. Again, this part right here, this is my least favorite part by a long shot. But to be honest, I don't know what I could have added, which is why I didn't. Like, these arrows were really the only thing I added, like, because I felt like it was just so empty. Like, yeah, this part just, I still don't like it. Like, the whole level, like, it just had the least, like, I don't know, idea or, like, intention behind it. I was just really trying to get this part done. That was really it, so I just don't like it that much. This part I was really worried about, because it was just felt so empty. Like, this is not, like, it felt like I was like, this is not something I normally do. I don't think I can make that transition work there, or whatever. Yeah, there's like some parts where I was thinking like adding more background and stuff, but by a point I was like, you know, I'm just gonna stick with it and see where it gets me. There's a few more things I want to talk about, but I might just talk about reception first, because honestly it's funny because it's one of the most iconic parts. This ship part, really? I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. Iconicness was something I worried about too, because when I was initially, like, this, again, like, this number part was the very first thing I made, and I was thinking, like, if I'm making a level in a week, or, like, at least in time for Pi Day, I was really worried that there was not going to be a part that would be, like, nearly as good as this. But, I mean, I surprised myself. I mean, this, like, spiral part ended up, I think it's might rival to be my favorite part, to be honest. Just because of, like, how, I don't know, like, everything just kind of worked, which is really nice. But yeah, this number part just took the longest time, so maybe I'm just so attached to that. But yeah, reception for this level was like genuinely so crazy to me. I'm not gonna lie, there was a part of me that did not even expect this level to get rated. Just because of how, like, I mean, I keep saying how empty it was. But because, I mean, I like the level. I was happy with the level, but I mean, by rate standards, something this, like, kind of just empty and minimalistic, you know, I didn't figure that was something that would always get, like, attention. And then bam, it got, I mean, I was hoping for a rate on the same day, I'm not gonna lie. But bam, it got epic rated, and I was like, wow, that was really surprising to me. And there's already people that are telling me, like, this is one of their favorite 2.2 levels, which is just incredibly great to hear. I was like, wow, that's such a big compliment, massive compliment. But I mean, it is nice to see that this kind of, like, minimalism is, like, still, like, widely appreciated. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, I want to compare this level, at least the creation of this level, or not compare, but contrast it really, to another level of mine, which some of you may be familiar with. This one, I'm sorry, y'all. My game crashed. I don't know why. My game did not want me to open geometry or firework. I don't know why my game just crashed there. All I do was switch a level. That's great. That's awesome. Okay. Only one button recorded crash. Yeah, no, clearly. Okay. Let's try not to crash this time. Okay. Firework. My level. There's a thumbnail for this already? God damn. Anyways. This level was also made in a really short time. Not the same short time. It was made in like 20 hours, like over like 20 hours over like 2 days. Which, again, still an insane grind to me. But I just kind of wanted to compare the creation of this level to Pi, because both were kind of made in a very like relative short time. Where'd my other one go? Oh, it got deleted. Of course it did. But they ended up obviously being really different, right? Like, I want to say for this level, like Firework, I didn't really do any commentary on it. But creating this level and creating as fast as I did it in a very like 3D printer like ish kind of way. Like, I did all the gameplay, and then I made like one block design for every part, and then I like just kind of pasted all the block design everywhere. And I just kind of like went through that. I was like, okay, I have all my gameplay done. Then I have all my blocks done. Then I have all my orb decoration done, all my arrows, and all my and I just kept going, right, backgrounds and effects, and then until I felt happy with the level. And then that's how this was created in such a short time. And I compared, and I'm bringing this up because I just think Pi was such like a different experience for me. Where is it? Yeah, here. I don't want to open that copy because the curves will break. But this one was like like very like part by part, and I mean rightfully so. I mean, the way I built Firework would not have worked for this level, just because each part is so much more focused on, I guess, the ideas, in a way that like just copy pasting wouldn't work, because like this part is so visually distinct from like this part, right, and so on and so on. And every part had a really clear focal point, I guess, too. Yeah. I think that's everything I want to talk about for this level. It was a really fulfilling experience. A really, I mean, in the time span, right? It was, yeah, a really fulfilling experience. And I got to learn so much about 2.2. These area triggers are just absolutely revolutionary to me. Camera triggers annoying, but are very useful as well. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to go over. Everything that matters, at least. Yeah, I'm real proud of this level, and yeah, for what I was going for, I think I did everything I wanted to. So yeah, Pi level out of the way there, and I should also note, I guess, this occasion I made it for, right? 18th birthday, yay! Just want a level, I don't know, to just kind of commemorate that occasion. So I was like, yep, level out, first time in 2 years. There we go, Pi. Alright, I'm just kind of rambling on here because I don't know what else to say. I guess I'll end stream right now. But yeah, that was my creative commentary. That's all I had to say for this level. If you like this level, or I mean, if I hope you could take something away from this, right? I learned a lot. Hopefully, you guys did too. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say for right now. I will see you guys. I'll see you on the regular stream or just regular.